Sri Chinmay Sadguruvai Namaha. Hello students, welcome to today's online class. In today's class, I am going to explain you about the remaining physical features of India. In our previous class, we discussed about the northern plains, and now I am going to discuss about what are the major parts in our northern plains. As we discussed in our previous class, we discussed about the Himalayas. Now I'm going to give a brief explanation regarding our coastal plains and northern plains, children. Once again, we recall about our northern plains. So these vast plains of the North India are alluvial in nature, and the westernmost portions are occupied by the Thar Desert. And this plains lies to the south of the Himalayas, and the total length of this northern plains is about 2,400 kilometers, and the width varies from 150 to 300 kilometers from one place to another place. And this plain is drained by Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra and their tributary rivers, and it is the largest agriculture division of India and is also known as Granaries of India. And 40% of Indian population, also entire 40% of our Indian population is living in this northern plains itself. And the border of North Indian plain is the region where streams get disappeared, and this terrain is the zone where the streams appeared. This is the largest marshy tract of India. So northern plains is classified into three divisions, children. Now I am going to explain about the Punjab plains drained by the Indus and their tributaries, and the Ganga plains by the river Ganga and their tributaries, and Brahmaputra valley drained by Brahmaputra and its tributaries. About the Punjab plains. So Punjab plains stretch from Punjab to Haryana, and this entire western part of the North Plains is called as Punjab Plains. So it slopes gently towards west and extends into Pakistan through the Punjab. So the plain is drained by the Indus and its five tributaries. The Indian part of the plain is also called as Punjab and Haryana plain. Only in our India we call as Punjab and Haryana plains. So these plains formed in Punjab due to the rivers Bari Doab, and eastern part is called as West Doab. So river tributaries and streams carrying water only during the rainy season, and with their beds choked with boulders are called chores in Punjab. So these streams carrying water only during the rainy season, and because of that water flowing, what happened here, the beds are formed. So these beds are called as chores, and the water becoming subsurface in the zone emerges on the surface in lower areas downstream and produces marshy bushes conditions. Such marshy areas in Punjab are called as mand. Understood that thorny bushes are called as mand. And here the only river that remains perennial in its upper course in Haryana, that is Bhaga. This stream is lost in the dry area in Rajasthan. So due to the Indus River tributaries, these Punjab plains formed both in Punjab and Haryana, children. Next one, the Ganga plains. So Ganga plains formed due to the Ganga river and their tributaries. So what are the main tributaries of Ganga and which causes to these Ganga plains? The Ganga and its tributaries have conveyed huge amount of alluvium soil from the peaks and deposited it here to put up this widespread plain. Because of the tributaries and Ganga, so whatever the huge amount of silt, alluvium silt carries from the peaks, mountain, Himalaya mountains, causes to the plains here. An important division of the plain is made in terms of Khada and Bangar Jones children. So these are the two types of soils available in northern plains. Alluvial soil is divided into two types. One is Khada and the other one is Bhangar. So the term Khada refers to the new alluvium soil, whereas Bhangar refers to the old alluvium soil. Listen carefully. The new alluvium soil is known as Khada. The old alluvium soil is called as Bhanga. And the lower part of the plain adjacent to the rivers that is prone to frequent floods is called Khada. So because of the adjacent river places causes prone to regular floods in these areas. So because of that floods every after flood, so they formed new soil. They formed new soil. New soil contains more minerals than the old soil, that is called as Khada. The western part of the plain from Haridwar to Aligarh is called Upper Doab, and from Aligarh to Allahabad is called the Middle Doab. So this flowing of water is considered as a Doab. So the water plains from the Haridwar to Aligarh, that is what we call as Upper Doab, and from Aligarh to Allahabad in Uttar Pradesh, so that is called as Middle Doab in the Ganga plains. So that this northern part of Ganga, Yamuna, Doab and Uttar Pradesh is covered by Ruhelkhand plain. This part is drained by the Ghagra, Rapti, Gomti rivers, the tributaries of Ganga. Listen carefully. The northern part of Ganga, Yamuna, Doab and Uttar Pradesh is covered by Ruhelkhand plains. The plain names in Uttar Pradesh is called as Ruhelkhand plains. This part is drained by what are the rivers flowing in that area is Ghagra, Rapti and Gomti. These are the three rivers flowing, the tributaries of river Ganga. And this plain is characterized by streams that flow as subsurface channels in dry season. So this area is called as Bhabar or the Babar zone. So already earlier streams that flows is as subsurface channels. So old alluvial soil, that area we call as Bhabar zone. The marshy region at the foothills of the Himalayas is called as terai. So here I explained about three types of soils: Khada, Bhanga and terai. So much of this zone has been drained out, reclaimed for agriculture. This terai zone is very suitable for agriculture. New alluvial soil. What is the third one? Brahmaputra Plains. So Brahmaputra Plains is also known as Assam Plains, children. As you know that Brahmaputra takes U-turn from Arunachal Pradesh and enters into Assam, and most of the Brahmaputra river in our nation that flows only in Assam. So for formation of Assam Plains, the main cause is river Brahmaputra and its tributaries. So floods are the common feature of the Assam plain because the water which carries from Himalayas and flooded into the Bay of Bengal through the Assam. So Brahmaputra plain is about 720 kilometer extended and the normal width is only 60 to 100 kilometers. This river Brahmaputra goes through the plain near Sadia and run further to Bangladesh after turning southwards near Dhubri. So here Brahmaputra enters into the Bangladesh at the place of Dhubri. The common altitude of the plains differ from 130 meters in the east and 30 meters in the west. So the altitude is differ from place to place. Here in this plains, at one place it is 130 meter, and the place this is a 30 meters in the west. So there are largely marshy tracts in Brahmaputra plain due to the soil erosion and the water carries by the tributaries of the Brahmaputra. Once observe here picture, children. This is here Punjab plains occupied Pakistan. Punjab in both places are there. Here Punjab, and here it is Ganga plains from Himachal Pradesh to here up to here Ganga plains. So these are the Brahmaputra plains here. So here Brahmaputra starts from here, takes U-turn here and flows Assam, and again runs towards Bangladesh here, towards the south here Bangladesh. After that they enters into India, sorry, Bay of Bengal. So this is the river flowing. So the northwest rivers here which joined in Arabian Sea is Narmada and Tapti. So these two we called as west flowing rivers. Only these two rivers that joined in Arabian Sea. So rest of all here all joined in Bay of Bengal here, and even here river Indus also that joined in Arabian Sea only. So here water divide due to the high altitude. About Punjab plains, Ganga plains and Brahmaputra plains, children. So Brahmaputra plains most probably in Assam, and here Ganga plains occupies in Haryana, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and some parts of the Jharkhand and West Bengal. That is what we call as Ganga plains. And here Punjab plains. So due to the tributaries of river, so here Indus, Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, and Sutlej. Here it is Bias. So these are the 5 tributaries that occupies in Punjab. So that these plains what we call as Punjab plains. So as I told, these are the Himalayas. Down to the Himalayas what we have Bhabha. So Bhabha, the in between Bhabha to Banga, so what we call as Terai, and here it is Khadar. So here the Khadar is new alluvial soil due to the river valleys, and here Bhangar is the old alluvial soil. So new alluvial soil is very fertile, children. So this place is Terai, and this is Bhabha. Understood. Now, the northern plains are generally described as flat and with no variation in its relief. It's not true, because these vast plains also have diverse relief features according to the variation in relief features. The northern plains can be divided into 4 regions. Understood? 4 regions. What is the first one? The rivers, after descending from the mountains, deposit pebbles in a narrow belt of 8 to 16 kilometer width lying parallel to the slopes of the Shivaliks. It is known as Baba. You see here small deposits of stones here in this picture. These are the pebbles. So the pebbles from the foothills of Shivaliks, third layer of the Himalayas, Shivaliks to 8 to 16 kilometer width parallel to the slope. From here to here 8 to 16 kilometers, that soil formation we call as Baba. All the streams disappear in this Baba because of the pebbles, stones. South of this belt, the streams and rivers re-emerged to create a wet, swampy and marshy region. This is known as Terai. This was a thickly forested region and full of wildlife. The forests have been cleared to create agricultural land and to settle migrants from Pakistan after partition in this region. So that is what we call as Terai. In Baba region, there is no streams. Again, they rejoined at Terai, and it is full of forest areas with wildlife. Next one, the largest of northern plain is formed with older alluvium soil that lies above the floodplains of the rivers and present a terrace-like feature This part is known as Banga. The here this equal here the high altitude with old alluvial soil we called as Banga. These are the pebbles, children, and here it is northern plains. Now I'm coming to the Khadar. The soil in this region contains calcareous and deposits locally known as kanka. So many calories, including in this soil, new alluvial soil, what we call as khada. This is new soil, and young deposits of the floodplains are called as khada. Young alluvial soil or new alluvial soil is known as khada. They are renewed almost every year and so are very fertile, thus ideal for intensive agriculture. This is it further. So our northern plain areas are classified into four types: Baba, Terai, Bhanga and Khadar. Among these all, Khadar new alluvial soil very suitable for agriculture. So what are the four here? Baba, Charai, Bhanga and Kada. So these are the four definitions for the Baba, Charai, Bhanga and Kada children. Next one, our peninsular plateau, famously known as Deccan Plateau. So this is what we call as overall Central Highlands. First one, Central Highlands. This triangle shape is our Deccan Plateau, and here it is Chota Nagpur Plateau. So the central India towards the south occupied with the plateau. So our land, as you know, that covered with three side water. So because of that reason, our India is called as peninsular country, and this plateau is called as peninsular plateau. Our peninsular plateau contains three parts: Central Highlands, Deccan Plateau and Chota Nagpur Plateau. About our Central Highlands. So Central Highlands consisting Malwa Plateau. So it is north to the Narmada River, and the rivers in this region flows from southwest to northeast, means towards the Arabian Sea. The two west flowing rivers here, Narmada and Tapi. So because of the high altitude Deccan Plateau, from high portion to low portion, these rivers are flowing into the Arabian Sea. And here Bundelkhand and Bughelkhand mark the eastward extension of this plateau. The plateau further extends eastwards into the Chota Nagpur Plateau. This central highlands formed above to the Narmada River and extended up to the Chota Nagpur Plateau. Next one, the Deccan Plateau. Deccan Plateau to the south of the river Narmada. It is a triangle shape, and the Satpura range makes its northern part. The Mahadev and Kaimur hills and Maikal range make its eastern part. The slope of the Deccan Plateau is from west to east. So that whatever the rivers originated in this peninsula, that flows towards the east. But here central lands towards the west. Central Highlands rivers that flows into the west, and here these rivers flows towards the east slope. So the slope of the Deccan Plateau is from west to east, and it extends into the northeast, which encompasses Meghalaya, Karbi Anglong Plateau and North Kutcher Hills. Garo, Kasi, Jaintia Hills are the prominent ranges starting from west to east. These are the major hills that located in this Deccan Plateau. Next about Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. So these are located next to the East Coastal Plains and West Coastal Plains, children. Here the average elevation of these mountains are 900 to 1600 meters, whereas Eastern Ghats the average elevation is 600 meters only. So that the highest mountains are located after the Himalayas in Western Ghats. The Eastern Ghats stretch from Mahanadi Valley to the Nilgiris in the south. The Western Ghats cast oceanographic rains as they face the rain-laden winds from the west. So the Eastern Ghats are stretched from Mahanadi to Nilgiri Hills in the south. These Western Ghats only causes to oceanographic rains as they face the rain-laden winds from the west. So whatever the winds that formed in Atlantic Ocean that first reaches the Western Ghats, after that only that winds crosses our Eastern Ghats. Next about the Great Indian Desert, the Thar Desert. Our Indian desert here, if you observe, this is our Indian desert or Thar Desert. So it is a large and arid region in the northwestern part of the India subcontinent. It occupies nearly 2 lakh square kilometers, children, and it is the world's 9th largest subtropical desert. This Indian desert lies towards the western margins of the Aravalli Hills. Here, these are the Aravalli Hills, and this is located in western side to the Aravalli Hills, and it is undulating sandy plain covered with sand dunes. This region receives very less rainfall, not even 1 centimeter, only 150 millimeters per year, and it has very arid climate with low vegetation cover because of the lack of rainfall, because whatever these southwest monsoon winds not touches this desert area due to the Aravalli Hills, the highest mountains. And streams appear during the rainy season only. Soon after they disappear when it is in summer. So this area are not getting proper water here. Luni is the one and only river that which flows in this region, and due to that, so from Punjab to we have the Satluj channel to give water for Rajasthan people, and it is very prominent near the Indo-Pakistan boundary. If you visit Jaisalmer, you may go to see a group of Burchans. See here, this is the one and only river Luni. These are the tributaries of Loni, Javai, Sardar Saman, and here Sipu. So some tributaries are there. So it is only one narrow channel here and not even stretched entire desert area. So these are the Burchans which we observed here. So what is the angle here? 34 degrees. These are the sand avalanches here. This is a slip phase. Here it is wind direction. Due to the wind direction, these Burchans formed. This is the dune movement. Based on the wind movements, Burchans are formed. Next physiographic feature, children, our coastal plains. Our coastal plains are classified into East Coastal Plains and West Coastal Plains. These are the coastal plains, children. Here it is East Coastal Plains and here West Coastal Plains. So these plains contains alluvium soil and it is very suitable for agriculture. And see here, this coastal plains, the peninsular plateau is flanked by a stretch of narrow coastal strips running along the Arabian Sea on the west and the Bay of Bengal in the east. So on the Bay of Bengal, on the banks of Bay of Bengal, it is East Coastal Plains. On the banks of Arabian Sea, it is West Coastal Plains. And the western coast sandwiched between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea. So these are the Western Ghats and this is Arabian Sea, and in between the sandwich part is West Coastal Plains. So these West Coastal Plains are classified into three parts. What are they? The northern part of the coast is called Konkan Coast. This is Konkan Coast. From here to here. From Maharashtra to Goa, it is Konkan Coast. The central stretch is called Kannad Plains. So here Karnataka. This Karnataka region, Kannad Plain. And southern stretch is here Malabar Coast. Konkan Coast and Kannad Plain and as well as Malabar Coast. These are the three coastal plains. And here the plains along with the Bay of Bengal are wide and level. So these are the wide stretched plains, east coastal plains. So if you observe here entire this region from Andhra, including our Krishna, Godavari districts up to the Bengal, these are very fertile soil with alluvial soil and suitable for agriculture. And here this side also it can be classified into three parts. So what are they? The first one is Northern Sarkar. See here, Northern Sarkar, Telangana region. So at that time, so here our from our Krishna, West Godavari, East Godavari too, and up to Bengal, it is what we called as Northern Sarkar altogether. And while the southern part is known as Coromandel Coast. This is Coromandel Coast, Tamil Nadu region, Coromandel Coast. So our Andhra region is Andhra Coast, and here near Odisha it is Utkal Coast. So the large rivers such as Mahanadi, Godavari. So if you see here, now here it is Mahanadi, and here Godavari, and here Krishna, and here Kaveri rivers that flows into the Bay of Bengal. And these all four rivers made this coastal very fertile because all these are joined in Bay of Bengal on the banks of these coastal plains. They divided into tributaries here and they formed delta triangle shapes here. These triangle shapes are deltas and very fertile, giving more fertility to the soil here. So here one and only Lake Chilka is the best water lake what we have here, Chilka Lake, that is, and here it is Pulkat Lake, and here we have Kolleru Lake near Godavari regions. Under physiographic channel is our island groups of India. As you know that we have two island groups. One is the Lakshadweep island groups in Arabian Sea. Another one is Andaman and Nicobar island groups in Bay of Bengal. So what is you mean by island, children? So island is a part which is surrounded four sides water. If a four sides water surrounded by a small piece of land is known as island. So we have Lakshadweep island. These are stretched over only 32 kilometers. The administrative headquarters means the capital city of Lakshadweep Island is Kavaratti. And this group of islands are rich in terms of biodiversity and human are very less. Habitation is less in this Lakshadweep Island, and it is very famous for the different types of birds and animals here. And there one Andaman and Nicobar Islands, children. So Andaman Nicobar Islands are bigger in size and nearly 600 small islands included in this Andaman and Nicobar Islands. And this one also very famous and rich in biodiversity, Andaman Nicobar Islands. See here, these Andaman Nicobar Islands are giving great economic support to the nation. So here from here to here, this entire part is Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So these are very famous for tourism and it for our border security and for trade activities and migration and arms smuggling, everything. So it is under the control of our India and control on Indian Ocean. And next, these are the small parts in Lakshadweep Islands. So this is Andaman Nicobar Islands. In Lakshadweep Islands, nearly 36 coral islands are there that constitute the Lakshadweep Islands. Only 10 are inhabited and only 6 have been opened for tourism due to the different reasons. So these islands formed of coral deposits are called atolls. Atolls are circular or horseshoe shaped coral reefs. See here, it is like a semicircle. This is what we call as a horseshoe. So these are the atolls. You see, overall, our physical features of our country, the mountains are the major sources of water and forest wealth, and the northern plains are the granaries of the country. They provide the base for the early civilization, Indus Valley civilization, and the plateaus are the storehouses of minerals, which has played a crucial role in the industrialization of the country. The coastal region and island groups provide sites for fishing and port activities. Thus, the diverse physical features of our country have immense future possibilities of development. So, these are the major physiographic features of our nation, children. Now, I'm going to show you a small about active volcano in barren islands which are present in our Andaman and Nicobar Islands.
It is called Barren Islands and it is located in Andaman Sea, near Bay of Bengal. It is a part of Indian Union Territory of Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and it is about 138 kilometers away from the territory's capital, Port Blair. It has an area of 8.34 square kilometers, and its highest elevation is 353 meters. As far as we know, Barren Islands had its first recorded volcanic eruption in 1787. Since then, it has erupted more than 10 times, and the latest eruption was spotted on 23rd January 2017 by a team of National Institute of Oceanography. During the daytime, the team spotted ash clouds, and after sundown, they saw red lava fountains spewing from the crater and the hot lava streaming down its slopes. Apart from being the only active volcano in South Asia, there is one more interesting factor about Barren Island. The waters surrounding Barren Island are reputed to be among the world's top scuba diving destinations. The major attractions here are the crystal clear visibility, manta rays, and the interesting basalt formations. There are fast growing coral gardens around Barren Island. The dive destination is remote, but can be accessed by either live aboard ship or with scuba operators based at Havelock Island. True to its name, this barren area is not habited by any humans till now, but it has a small population of goats, birds, bats, and few rodent species. Hope you enjoyed.
So these are the small corals, children, which is very common in Lakshadweep Islands. So here short-lived microscopic organisms which live in colonies. They flourish in shallow, mud-free and warm waters. They secrete calcium carbonate. This coral secretion and their skeletons form chloral deposits in the forms of reefs. There are mainly three kinds of the barrier. One is the barrier reef. This is the barrier reef, and here fringing reef, and third one is atolls. So the Great Barrier Reef of Australia is a good example of the first kind of coral reefs. Atolls are circular or horseshoe shaped coral reefs. So these are the atolls, and these are the three types of corals present, which is very familiar in our island groups of Lakshadweep. Home students, that is about our physical features of India. Hope every one of you understood the major physiographic features of our India, how these physiographic channels are very helpful to our nation's economy. Hope every one of you understood. Home children, thank you.